Welcome back to more F1 2017 Career Mode Season 2, and it's the Chinese Grand Prix today. Coming off the back of a spectacular result in Australia. Please do go and watch that if you have actually missed it. It goes to show that the work we put into the McLaren at the tail end of last season and over the winter break definitely paid off in spades. But was that a one-off fluke? You know, with it being the street circuit and it suiting our car, we've got a much more sort of traditional racetrack here in China. But I'm fairly confident that we're still going to be able to perform quite well. I mean, this car is leaps and bounds ahead of what it was in Season 1. So we'll need to sort of see how it goes on this track. I mean, one of our weaknesses, of course, still the engine. While we are competitive with Renault, it's still down the straight is going to be a bit of a struggle. And of course, we have a massive straight here going into one of the prime overtaking opportunities at the Chinese Grand Prix. That being said, we're going to chuck ourselves straight into qualifying. Here we're going to go with our very first qualifying lap in its entirety here. I mean, I'm one of those where qualifying, I've said this before previously, qualifying not my strong suit. I'm more of a racecraft kind of fellow, as it were. But the long right hander feeding into turn 2, squirt the power, miss the apex completely for turn 3 on the gas, run it out wide as we come through 4. 4 is just an acceleration zone, really. This technically counts as turn 5. Science goes fast as we break at the 100-meter board down to turn 6, kiss the apex nicely, and we're just about a tenth down on Carlos Sainz as we go through that first sector. Use all the curbs, get maximum amount of input there. I've had to lift off. Usually you can take that flat, and that's put us out of sorts through the left, right, and now we go to the double left-hander again, just missing the apex. Not a very well put together lap so far, but like I say, I'm not one of those that really deals well in high pressure situations when I have to deliver on a specific lap, as we now go through out of the second sector, through the chicane and onto the banked right-hander, onto that massive straight that I have mentioned. We do have max engine mode, of course, available in qualifying as we now come up to the DRS zone. We're going to open that up and open the taps, foot to the floor, over 200 miles an hour as we hit the brakes just at about 125 meters there. Get it in nice and tight for the final corner. That is Magnussen just up the road to us. Unfortunately, he is a little bit too far ahead for us to gain any kind of benefits of slipstream as we go through the final corner. Open up the DRS one more time. We're going to cross the line and it's a 1:36.1. We go faster than Sainz but drop behind Perez. So fast forward to near the end of the session. Just over 2 minutes left. We're going out for another run. We're P10 at the moment. We're going to open up the DRS, come across the line. We weren't as fast out the final corner as we were, but you're going to see here, traffic galore. I've mistimed this lap horrendously as we have to hesitate turning into turn 1 with Kimi Räikkönen, and we're going to have to feed it quite tight past Bottas. It goes to show how bad our first lap was, with the fact the delta is still pretty close to it, as we have to fight past Valtteri. But we're past the main bit of the traffic to begin with there. And we're kind of going to come across the first sector. We are just 0.03 of a second down, so we have to dive it down the inside of Hulkenberg in the Renault. That's cost us a lot of time, 0.3 in that hairpin, and we're now going to try and make it up in the middle sector. We come across the back end of the lap. We're getting a lot of slipstream from Daniel Ricciardo, 206 miles an hour before we hit the brakes, but we have to go tight into the hairpin and run it out wide. That's going to cost us boatloads of time, and then screwing it up on the exit, running a bit too wide. That's now nearly 0.4 down as we come through the final sector. We haven't got enough time to go again, so yes, unfortunately, it is going to be slower on this next lap, and by the end of the session, you're going to see that other cars have improved, and that actually drops us to 13th place, and Alonso came in 10th, so disappointing qualifying for me. You see the Mercedes, the Ferraris, the Red Bulls 2 by 2, and then the other teams sort of splitting it out. But, like I've said, I'm more of a race driver than a qualifying driver, and we're going to sort of see what we can do in the race, work out a smart strategy starting outside the top 10 for the Chinese Grand Prix.
I'm joined again today by none other than Anthony Davidson. Tell me, Ant, obviously there's a lot of development work that goes on with these cars between the races. You've been both a test driver and a race driver. What differences are there in the way you approach those roles?
Good talk, Anthony. Good talk. Every once in a while, I don't know if it's just a game or a bug or whatever, but he just completely blanks Crofty. So the two options that we have here are one stop and a two stop strategy. Super softs to medium tyres. I didn't like the idea of that, honestly. I think that, and I've said this a couple of times before, and it's not worked out in my favour. But I want to go on the two stop with this one. I'm sort of analysing the situation here, and then we do choose the two stop. But I'm going to do what I tend to do when I run a two stop. I put the softest tyre in the middle. Rather than at the start. I feel it's more beneficial after that first round of pit stops, after you've had a bit of time for the race to shake up, see your position, put some laps in on the softest tyre available. Try and gain back a lot of the time that you might be making, because a lot of cars outside the top 10 are going to be doing a one stop versus the two. And the thing with the two stop is we're not like a Mercedes or a Ferrari. We don't have the pace really for it to work. Like, we don't have that much of an advantage over the cars around us for it to work. But I'm confident with this one. I do enjoy the Chinese Grand Prix circuit, and I think we can, especially in the middle sector with some of the flowing corners, it's going to suit our car. So we're going to have to see what we can do. Like I say, my major concern is down this back straight, especially when DRS becomes available. I think I had on F1 2016 a mighty battle with the likes of Perez and Sebastian Vettel when I was driving for Haas down there. You know, it was about 10 laps in a row of me having to defend into that final hairpin. As we're now going to come around and get the grid reformed as the lights are coming on. They're all on. They're all out, and away we go for the Chinese Grand Prix. Alonso initially slow to respond, but then gets a stellar second half of the start. He's down the inside of Grosjean with lots of position to Magnussen. Take it slowly. Contact ahead of us between Magnussen and Hülkenberg. Magnussen and the Haas is round. We had to barge into Massa to avoid contact there, as we now go down the inside of Hülkenberg using all the space that we can. Force him out wide. Alonso has dropped down into 11th place now, so we run 11th and 12th. No McLaren in the points at the moment at the start. Hülkenberg is down our inside, but the AI very slow into turn 6. We're going to send it down the inside of Alonso and Carlos Sainz, and that is us up into 10th place. And that's us on the soft tyre, now mixing up with the super soft runners. We're now going to need to see what we can do for the rest of this stint, as we have Grosjean, our current rival, ahead of us in 9th. It looks as if you've got Ocon in 8th there, and the Red Bulls just ahead. So here we go, end of lap 1. Grosjean's ahead of us. We cross the line. We've got Sainz behind. Alonso, he's dropping back, unfortunately. So while he's got the pace in qualifying, he doesn't appear to have the race pace. Almost the opposite to us there, as it were. But we're now through this first sector. We just gained so much time over the AI. And yes, you've got Verstappen, Perez, Ricciardo, Ocon and Grosjean ahead of us there. So we can see up to 5th place just ahead of us. So we're going to try and keep up with that train if we can. Of course, the Mercedes and the Ferraris just a bit too much for us. As we now move on to lap 4, DRS is open. Sainz is down there inside into turn 1. He's going to hold it nice and tight. We're going to try and hold it around the outside with the soft tyre. It's, of course, going to go to the inside for turn 3, which we're going to hold. Bang tyres, unfortunately. Didn't really want to do that, but unfortunately ran out of room there. Didn't, of course, put Sainz out, and no damage. It was just, you know, wall of the tyre to wall of the tyre. But Grosjean then peels in at the end of lap 7. A couple of other cars do. Hamilton and Vettel, by the looks of things, have done the same. So they have definitely committed to the 2-stop. That was what you were looking at, about 7 or 8 laps on the super soft tyre before going to soft. Or, of course, if you want to try and go for the 1-stop, you would need to switch to medium tyres. But taking those over 20 laps is going to be a huge ask, as we now, on the back straight, DRS open against Esteban Ocon from a long way back. Ocon slow into the braking zone. We're going to chuck it down the inside. Unexpected in the rearview mirror of the Force India, and that of course scared him out of the way. We were able to dive it down and get 4th place for now, but by the time the cars ahead of us pit, that is us up into 2nd place. Verstappen leads the way on the super soft. He's going to be taking them to the end of lap 10, so Verstappen most definitely is on the 1-stop. Same as Esteban Ocon, who is just behind us, and a few of the cars. Alonso comes in as well, so he must be running the 1-stop as well. So now we come in end of lap 10. Ocon, who just sitting behind us as we're getting from the race engineer, apparently has an issue with his car, but like I say, we're now coming in end of lap 10. This is, of course, the earliest we could pit, but these tyres were really starting to go off and didn't really feel that nice to drive on, so we come in nice and cautiously. I don't like to attack the pit lane line too much, so I'm probably losing a good second and a bit there. But you see Verstappen has gone on to the medium tyres. Can't really blame him. We're going to go to the Red Bull Super Soft tyre, so we are 2 compounds softer than what a lot of the cars are going to be running. Thankfully, we've got ourselves out ahead of Ocon just there. So, yeah, we basically have to try and now make up as much time as possible over the next sort of 7 or 8 laps that we're going to be running, as Perez, Hulkenberg and Ricciardo just fly past us. Hulkenberg's been hung out to dry by Perez, and he's then been further hung out to dry by Ricciardo, and we're going to go down the inside. He's on the soft tyre, Hulkenberg, so that means he's committed to a 2-stop, and then we drive around the outside with our fresh tyres, softer tyres, and that's us up into 13th place with a big old training cars ahead of us, and this is where we need to pounce and make as much time up as possible, because otherwise we're just going to fall down the order. And I mean, if we've got to make that additional pit stop and waste that additional 25 seconds, we need to pounce now while we can through the middle sectors, trying to hold to the back of Ricciardo. Look, on the medium tyres, he's got no speed through the long corners. We're going to go down the inside of the double left-hander. That is us past Ricciardo, up into 12th place, and now we've got Stroll and Perez, 2 cars that are weaker in corners than the McLaren. So let's see what we can do. We head up to the chicane now. Stroll has gone wide. Perez is running slow. I nearly ploughed straight into the back of the Force India. I'd have had front wing damage and struggling, but now they go side by side to the right-hander. We undertake both of them down the inside with our superior grip, superior traction, and we are now up, back into the points, back into 10th place at the end of lap 12 now. We're starting to close in on the cars ahead. Another car in the pits just there, so we're going to move up to 8th now. And this is probably where we're going to be looking to finish. That's our personal best lap of the race there, a 1:38.5, but we need to now look at 8th as our target position, as we're now behind Verstappen, which is where we were after the first round of pit stops. We're, of course, going to take the additional 25 seconds of damage, but, of course, when we do fit the soft tyres later on in the Grand Prix, of course, these guys are going to be on very worn mediums, so we'll be gaining time at that point in the Grand Prix. But Verstappen looked very slow, struggling even through the right-hander, and we're going to breeze past him on the exit, which was kind of surprising for me, really. But, you know, I'll take it to get past Grosjean ahead now. We know he's committed to the 2-stop, as he pitted early for Super Softs. He's gone on to Super Softs again. A really odd strategy by the Haas team here for Grosjean, but he's either going to pit this lap or the next for those tyres if he's planning to do sort of 7 laps on them. He continues on for this time. We're going to carry on as well. Our target pit lap is, of course, lap 18. We've got Palmer in the pits as well. So we then move up into 6th place, and now we move on to lap 16. Grosjean has gone a few laps longer on this set of tyres, so he has extended it a little bit. I suppose his first set were ones he may have qualified on. I think he was in the top 10, but I'm not 100% sure. So Grosjean pits. We've now got a couple of laps on these super soft tyres that they are a little bit worn out, and we're dropping about 0.7 to a second a lap. So it depends if he's going to be ahead of us then after our pit stop, because that's the guy we're really racing today, is, of course, Grosjean. I don't think we're going to have enough time to make up against the likes of, you know, your Verstappens and things like that. But we come across the line, we're going to shut Jeff up and say we're going to pit at the end of lap 18. Yeah, the 4 cars ahead of us already made their second pit stop, which are, of course, the Mercedes and the Ferraris. They're in a completely different league than anyone else on the grid. We're not going to be able to catch them. It's almost like we're chasing down Bottas like we were in Australia in the last round. But, yeah, we've got 2.5 seconds to Perez, but then we get the safety car because of Grosjean's retirement. Not too sure what happened with Grosjean, but yeah, there we go. Safety car. Now Jeff wants us to take an alternate strategy. He's offering the soft tyre. I don't understand why this is alternate. He's saying, you know, change to pit this lap for softs. Well, that's what I was going to do anyway. And the reason I sort of lingered on this for a while was I was thinking in my head, 8 laps on super soft, safety car lasts 2 laps, it will have minimal wear on the tyres, so at a last minute decision, I'm going to go for another set of super soft tyres, because like I say, they can be protected under the safety car for a couple of laps, and then we were on them for 8 laps, which is what we were on for this set, and they were in a period where I think they could have gone 1 or 2 more laps longer. So this is our best opportunity because, like I said, we're going to lose about 25 seconds at the end of the day for making the additional pit stop. First of all, we're making it not under a full safety car, so we are still losing time here, unfortunately. But we're now 2 compounds softer than guys that we're going to be racing. There goes Ocon past us, annoyingly. So we're 2 compounds of tyre softer than the guys around us. But more to the point, they're now 10 laps more worn than they were earlier on in the Grand Prix. So we are going to be even faster. So now we come to the end of lap 20, And like I said, the safety car is now coming in this lap. These tyres, I've protected them as much as I can. They're at 2% and sort of 4%. We're looking at the rears there. So, and I've saved up as much fuel as possible there. I did sort of get, you know, shouted at a couple of times for dropping too far back from the car in front of us. So we've got to get past Ocon, Palmer, and then we're into the points. And because the field has been entirely bunched up, who knows now where we're going to finish in this Grand Prix. I thought we might be battling for like maybe 9th or 10th, but now, given our strategy, given the choices we've made, let's see what we can do as we've sort of pinched ourselves on the apex here as we go racing again. So that's cost me maybe a little bit of time, unfortunately, but here we go. Safety car has gone into the pits, race has restarted, and let's get ourselves into the points. Where can we now finish in the Chinese Grand Prix? Rich Mix off the final corner in the slipstream of the Force India as we charge towards turn 1. Palmer pulls out, he's battling Alonso. What's that going to do for the speed of those 3 cars into turn 1? Alonso's out wide, Ocon's gone slowly behind him. We dive down the inside of the Force India and the McLaren. That's us up in our 10th place, points already, and now we're behind the Renault of Jolyon Palmer. What can we do against him here? Like I've said, our tyres are so much softer, so much fresher than him. What can we do? Nothing into turn 6, unfortunately, but can we do anything on the accelerations? Look, normally we lose a lot of time on the acceleration because that is one of my worst areas, I suppose I could say, in this game. But look how we are keeping in touch with him, and look at just how much more speed we can carry through the right hander around the outside of Palmer. That is us up into 9th place, and let's chase down a couple of more of these cars, shall we? Next up is the Red Bull of Max Verstappen. I did say that I was looking to race him to the end of this Grand Prix. We weren't able to do anything on that lap. At end of lap 21, beginning of lap 22, we come out of the final corner and we are getting closer and closer to the cars ahead. Jeff is now in my ear again about a strategy change. I don't think he's cottoned on to my personal thinking yet. It's not as if I have the option to tell him what I'm thinking, but of course I can't respond to him now as I'm too concerned with trying to get past these Red Bull cars as we now save a bit of fuel, and we're going to go up to Rich again momentarily. We tell Jeff that no, we're not coming in again as we now come up towards turn 6. What's going to happen here? Verstappen is slow. Ricciardo's locked up and gone straight on. That's compromised his exit. Compromised Verstappen's run through the corner. Bump it up to Rich. On the acceleration, we're going to go down the inside of Verstappen and Daniel Ricciardo. That's a double overtake on the Red Bull cars, which are still apparently the 3rd fastest car on the grid, and we have just mugged both of them off through the middle sector up into 7th place now on lap 22, and by the end of lap 23 we're closing up to Carlos Sainz, who of course was racing us near the start of this Grand Prix. So while me and Sainz were battling over 10th place, it's now the battle for 6th as we now use the Rich Mix DRS slipstream. We're going to catch right up to the back of this Toro Rosso. He goes to the inside to defend, nowhere near aggressive enough. So we pull alongside into the hairpin, take a good chunk of curb, and that's now us up into 6th place. And we have one final target of Sergio Perez in the Force India there. The other 4, like I've said, they've gone up the road. Can't even bother to catch them. But now lap 24. Here we go once again out of that banked right-hander, and we're going to slip into the slipstream of Sergio Perez once again. Rich Mix DRS. There's just no competition. I'm so glad the Honda engine is now almost on par with some of these guys as we dive it down the inside. Perez tries to fight, but we just block his ability to turn in. There we go. Job done. We've gone from 13th to 5th in 4 laps, and now that is where we're going to finish in today's Chinese Grand Prix because we can't catch Bottas. He is 9.5 seconds up the road, and those cars are far too quick for us. So here we go, lap 28. Kimi Raikkonen is going to come across the line and win the Chinese Grand Prix, leading home his teammate and the 2 Mercedes. Not too sure what their finishing order was, I must admit, off the top of my head, but we're going to come home. 2-stop strategy, thought it was going to pay off, proven right. We're going to come across the line. I was proud of this drive for 5th place in the Chinese Grand Prix.
Top job, my friend, top job. I was a bit worried about this one at the start of the weekend, but you pulled through. Thank you.
Well, I'm thoroughly exhausted after the excitement of that race, but I'm sure it's nothing compared to our drivers here. They've worked hard to make it up there, and it's great to see them make their way out onto the podium.
So that is the Chinese Grand Prix. Kimi Räikkönen wins this one from Sebastian Vettel, leading home Lewis Hamilton and Valtteri Bottas. 2 seconds covered the top 4. Then myself, after an inspired drive to 5th. Then, of course, all the one-stoppers of Perez, Sainz, Ricciardo, Verstappen and Ocon round out the points. Then we have Palmer, Magnussen, Stroll, Alonso coming down in 14th, clearly having maybe some car issues. He finished like half a minute behind me when we passed him, sort of 8 laps from the end there. But we're now, of course, going to gather the resource points for that particular round and this weekend, and we're trying to save up. We need, I think, it's about 1,300 for the major engine upgrade, which is the next thing that we're going to look at getting. That will then take a few weeks to go on the car, and then we're going to go for the ultimate. They're sort of the 2 things I'm looking at for this season. And then, of course, anything we can do after that, probably going to be, obviously, you know, aero and chassis. I don't really care for any kind of fuel economy, fuel saving, all of that bollocks, as it were. But, guys, that has been the Chinese Grand Prix, and one of my personal favourite drives of this career mode. I had to sort of get as much out of the car as I could, really. It reminded me a lot of Spain last year. Just in regards to what I had to do, you know, where we started on one of the harder compound tyres, swapped to the softer compound, and then we were going to go back to the harder one, but then the safety car really helped us out there, and that last minute decision to go to super soft definitely benefited us there in the amount of points that we actually got. I do hope you enjoyed today's video. Leave a like if you did; it does really help me out, and leave a comment with any kind of feedback down below. I do enjoy reading those, and remember to subscribe and enable them notifications to be informed about any kind of upcoming content coming to the channel. I will also see you next time.